Well, this week, the Premier League resumes after the latest international break. The slate features 8 games on Saturday, 7 minus money favourites, 6 picks from our handicappers from 5 games previewed. The top 4 are separated by just 3 points, while the odds for the top 2 in the futures market suggest that the contest for the title will not be a one-horse race. This is Betting Weekly Premier League show. You with myself, Dan Roebuck, while Nigel Seeley and Jack Wright are here to count you down through the best bets. Nigel, you're back from Wembley, just about.
Just about, yeah. I mean, that place, what a joke that is. I don't know if it's me getting old or miserable, or it's like it is a joke.
Hang on, nap. Go on, continue.
Well, yeah, but everywhere I go now in the evening, I get in the ump with people. I've just come to the conclusion I don't like people. You know, that's it. I like dogs. I like dogs. I like animals. I just don't like people. Wembley, getting out of there. Oh, Jesus. Honestly, it was diabolical. But obviously,
hopefully you took Daniele's advice on the international show and cashed the ticket. He went against his country there. I mean, that's going the extra yard.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything. I bet that over the bookings, which I thought was looking a good bet.
Oh, mate, you're unlucky with that.
I thought that when England got the third goal, it fizzled out. But these two, this young man here, I had a little word with him. Oh, Jude Bellingham, I had a little word with him. I told him what to do. There he is. Look at that. There he is.
Yeah. Did you give him some advice?
You two don't listen to this man. You listen to this man and look at him now. Legend.
Says a lot. He's there with Moore and Pele.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, he's a fantastic player. Look, let's bring it back to the Premier League. Have we got a title race, Nigel? City have lost the last 2 in the EPL. They're minus 137 for the title. We talked about this right at the start of the season. Like, you want to back City, you want to wait until at some stage in the autumn. We all thought that they would drop points and potentially be a bigger price. They're a bigger price.
Yeah, 100%. I think they'll go plus money at some stage, probably. But then they're the team that hit that run, don't they? They're one team that going to end the season strong, 15 matches unbeaten or something like that, and probably grind everyone down. That's what they do. They usually do. Last season, they did suffer the same kind of blip this time of the year, went into the new year as well. Arsenal were favourites at some stage, but I just don't think it's a 2-runner race. I think Liverpool will still make a part of it. I've been very keen on Liverpool. I think they're within touching distance with a lot of new faces. Got some big matches coming up. The fact they're not in the Champions League helps them enormously for me. Arsenal, we've seen that they struggled in the Champions League in their last match, so that's going to take some pressure on them. They've got a big match this weekend. I'm not quite convinced by them this weekend as well. So yes, 100% we have a title race. We haven't even mentioned Tottenham as well, who are right in the mix as well.
Arsenal plus 400, Liverpool plus 500, Spurs plus 1100. Any value in the chasing pack at the minute, Jack? What do you think?
Not for me. I've always wanted to get on Manchester City, want to get them on side. I can't see them not winning this title again. As we've said, it's a patience thing. It's a waiting game. It looked at the start of the season, we wouldn't be able to do that. But, a tricky banana skin this weekend, haven't they? They've got Brighton. If Brighton can go and beat Manchester City, Nigel's talking about them going plus money. They're going to be knocking on the door of that if the other results kind of go against them. So, another win for Tottenham. They've got an easier home game. And if Arsenal can beat Chelsea, Liverpool as well in that Merseyside Derby. So, this could be a very, very interesting weekend. And we're starting to get into the realms where we can actually unload on Manchester City, but not quite yet.
But by the way, are you on the set of Return of the Jedi there? Is that like some sort of lightsaber behind you?
It is, yeah. They're just having a little spar behind me, but we'll be okay. Yeah, we'll do for take off in 45 minutes. So we'll
wonderful. Right, we're going to kick things off with the Merseyside Derby. This is a 7:30 Eastern game on Saturday morning, so get up early if you're watching this one. I suspect many will be. Just on the money line, Nigel, before we get your play here, I mean, Liverpool have been backed just over the last sort of 24 hours, really. They're minus 335 here. Everton plus 800 now. The latest price is the draw plus 500. A lot on social media over the course of the last week saying that Everton should be higher at the table. A lot of the metrics suggesting they've actually got more point or should have more points than Liverpool. Their schedule has been kind, but that's very short, Liverpool, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, they are a traditionally very heavily bet team. If you look at Liverpool's form, the match against Tottenham, they're a little bit unlucky, very unlucky not to get the result there. And I think that's fresh in the bettors' minds as well. They're a fashionable team. They're a public play. Everton aren't a public play. We all know they've got their problems. Most of their problems are at home, though, rather than away. So their home form is the one that lets them down. They've also got that takeover bid that isn't going through sailingly. I mean, there's a lot of sort of uncertainty about that. Maybe that's playing an effect in bettors' minds as well. But you would expect Liverpool to win this. I mean, their record in the derbies is pretty solid as well. So that goes for them as well. So, you usually turn around and say the form book goes out the window in derbies, but it hasn't really done that over recent years in this fixture at all. So on the money line, yes, they are very short. I wouldn't bet them. There's certainly no way I'd bet them at minus 330. But where they have a big advantage over Everton is in goal scoring positions. I mean, they've got goals in them, and Everton are really struggling for goals. So, and the other thing I would say about this match before you play on the money line, I'm going to come on to a different bet here, is a lot of players are returning back from Europe, from international football, and a lot of the Everton players are English players, which I'm going to mention a little bit more, or home-based players who didn't travel, whereas the Liverpool team have travelled from all over the globe. It's an early kickoff as well, so that's going to affect Liverpool, which is a big negative if you're going to bet them at minus 330 or whatever the price is now. So bear that in mind. I think Liverpool will have enough quality. I think they'll be able to bring players off the bench in play to win it, but that isn't where my betting angle is.
No, it's not. I mean, if you're my age, and Nigel's as well to a certain extent, you'll remember all the Merseyside FA Cup finals from the 80s, and the League Cup finals and the Charity Shields as it was. This was always called the friendly derby, but you're going in a different direction here because it has been feisty, Nigel.
Yes, it has. I mean, I always come on here and I give you little snippets of things over the years and stuff like that. And there's something that is quite pertinent to me in this, pointed to me in this thing here, in this match, in my theory here. I'm going to have a bet on the bookings. So I'll give you the logic of the bookings in a minute. But I remember when I very first started working in the spread betting business, about 20 odd years ago now, and the Merseyside Derby and the Glasgow Derby, you could never get the bookings line high enough. People would just pay for the bookings. I remember Merseyside derbies where they'd be going off around about seven bookings, over and under 7. You used to get the Rangers Celtic derby used to go off in about eight bookings a match, and it used to cash over cash. And then a soccer trader who was a very good soccer trader who's gone on to work for one of the big syndicates noticed that when there was more foreigners playing in the matches and there wasn't so homegrown players like the British players or the Irish players, the line went down. And he used to think it was that they never realised the importance of the fixtures and they sort of gradually went down. And you look at this match here, and I'm looking at Everton. Everton have 9 of their players, who played at the weekend were English. So this is an Everton side. They've got more English players than any other team. 2 players on the bench were English as well. So they could field a whole entire English side. A lot of them are local boys. They're struggling at the bottom of the table, and they will know the importance of this fixture. So that was one interesting thought process, that the Everton team is based up of local players, English boys, Northern players who know how big this match is. So that is a huge factor. Liverpool side, obviously not so, all around the globe. But then we look at the referee. Pawson is the referee, Craig Pawson here. He's refereed 8 matches this season, 40 cards, 1 red, averaging 5.12 per game. In the big matches, in the Champions League, he gave 6 yellow cards. Everton against Wolves, 7, 8 and 9. So the big matches he's given over 5.5. This is the biggest match of the season that he's been involved in. So the line is 5.5 here. It's plus money over. I'm going to play the over 5.5. Traditionally, over history, this match has more red cards than any other fixture in the Premier League. It's gone down over recent years. If you look at the matches over the period of time, in the last 10 matches, it averages 4.6 cards per game, which, I mean, maybe it probably is sort of levels itself into the price. 4.6 per game over history, 5.12 for the referee, minus money on under 5.5, over 5.5 plus money. Sort of probably works out about right. But the fact that Everton are all homegrown players, all lads who, Calvert-Lewin is a local lad, a lot of local lads in there who need the win, who will go to Anfield pumped up on the back of their biggest result of the season. The match before, they should have beaten Luton easy, should have put the amount of chances. They're creating chances, not scoring. They'll go there in confident mood. They need the win. I think this will be a feisty one. I'm going to go for over 5.5 bookings at plus 118. So that's a big money plus money price. And the reason why, a lot of homegrown players playing at Everton, and the stats back it up as well.
Jack, you're a regular cards player. You've had some good picks over the course of the season already. What are the sort of deciding factors for you when you're looking at a bet like this? Is it the referee? Is it the occasion like a derby we've got here? Or is it just the averages of the two teams? What tips it one way or the other for you?
I think it's a combination of those things, but you want the perfect storm, of course, don't you? But I think when you look at the fixture list, you'll identify 2 or 3 games that you think could well have a few cards. Obviously, the Merseyside Derby is going to be right at the top of that list, and then you just need a referee that you like. There'll be games that I wouldn't play based on a referee because he's just back in the day, not too distant past. But Martin Atkins would be a perfect example. That if he was given even the most the feistiest, imagine him going to an Old Firm derby and keeping his cards in his pocket. So it would be enough to put me off. But Pawson is one of the ones that you would suggest is normally up there or thereabouts, and would certainly be a green light for me to go ahead with a bet. There is a very quirky stat for him, and I know you like a quirky stat on his cards when in charge of Liverpool. Do you know the last time he gave 6 or more cards in a Liverpool game?
Long time ago, because I looked at the records of it.
Yeah, 2015, Sunderland away, and he went with 8 cards in that game. And has he refereed many since then? Yeah, 30. So 30 games have gone since he's gone 6 over. But he's got the opposite record for Everton. So hopefully we'll have the dark side of him come out here and say this one's got all the makings for it, as Nigel said, right, feisty clash. Sunday afternoon, a few tired legs from international duty as well. So bring on the cards.
Just one other thing as well. That I did say it was Saturday, Sunday afternoon, as I said. But the other thing is the Liverpool have got more red cards than any other team in the Premier League this season. 4 red cards already, which is very unlike Liverpool. And so they're not as nice as they used to be. A little bit feisty, a little bit in your face. New signings have come in, changed the dynamic of the side a little bit. So they're a little bit punchy. And I think when you think about how Klopp has been sort of quite vocal about the Tottenham match and things that have gone against him this season, I think they'll be right up for this match.
Yeah, they flood forward, don't they? So they're stretched. The game's stretched, and you're resulting in people making challenges they don't necessarily want to make. So I think that lends itself perfectly for Liverpool cards, especially.
Let's move on to Bournemouth against Wolves. We've got another pick from Nigel here. This is 3 p.m. local, 10 a.m. Saturday. Wolves unbeaten in 3. Bournemouth looking a little bit out of their depth, Nigel. I mean, plus 175 to be relegated here. That might tempt one or two bettors.
Yeah, I mean, Jack confused me there because it says Sunday afternoon. I thought I made a mistake. I just checked this Saturday morning.
I was just checking that myself. Saturday. It's Saturday lunchtime UK.
I must, usually me makes all the. I usually get all the days wrong and the match is wrong. So I just for a moment.
Just on that. I mean, Jurgen Klopp complains about all those kickoffs because Liverpool haven't got a great record in those 12:30 UK times. That and it's an interesting one with the odds as they are, but with it being a Merseyside derby, I think some of that thought process, that narrative can be thrown out the window. Anyway, we'll find out Saturday morning. Let's move on to Bournemouth Wolves. Relegation plus 175 value or not, or about right?
I've been very keen on Bournemouth all season as a relegation. I've always been very keen on the manager earlier to be the first sacked. I mean, I was talking him up 2 or 3 weeks ago at 25-1.
Yeah, no prices at the moment. I looked at that. No odds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really surprised that no one's gone in the international break.
Right,
yeah. Usually you would think that someone would go in the international break. It's a great time, bring them back like 10 days, 2 weeks off, and this things aren't working. A good time to get rid of a manager. No one's gone yet, but I think if Bournemouth lose this game, I think Iraola could be gone. I mean, he spent money. He spent an awful lot of money. It's just not working, and they are conceding goals like at a very, very alarming rate. And when you concede goals like that in the Premier League, you're banging trouble. I mean, the last 3 Premier League games, they've conceded 10 goals. Which I know, admittedly, they played Aston and Brighton, but a 3-0 defeat at Everton is a really, really bad defeat here. So I think they're a side bad. I think they've recruited badly in terms of the players in the summer. They've given an inexperienced manager of the Premier League a lot of money to spend, and there's nothing I can see they've got better with an awful lot of money spending. They're a club that are really, really in trouble. The problem is they play Wolves. Now, Wolves is a side that I can never get a read on. I think there's a team, if I oppose Wolves like I did against Man City, they beat Man City. If I go with them, I can never read Wolves. And it hasn't been the case this season. It's been the case since they returned to the Premier League. I never could understand the attraction with them, but when I fade them, I get them wrong. But there is one important factor here, and it's obviously the manager. Gary O'Neill going back to Bournemouth. I mean, he'd be looking at what Bournemouth have done this summer and laughing his head off, thinking, why on earth did they get rid of me? I mean, how he lost his job is insane. And what they've done since then has gone completely backwards. So if that is the huge motivation for Gary O'Neill to go back to Bournemouth, and I expect him to have this side right up for this one. And on the form book coming into it, they're playing well. I mean, the 2-1 win against Manchester City was a great result for them. A 1-1 draw with Aston Villa. Aston Villa are doing exceptionally well. So they're a club that, many, including Jack and myself, thought they might struggle. I still think they've struggled, but those 4 points in the last 2 matches are huge 4 points. And then they got to play Sheffield United away in a couple of weeks and Newcastle as well. So we'll know a lot more about their chances here. But in this match here, Gary O'Neill going back to his former club when this former club are in absolute crisis. His side are doing really well. I quite like him on the money line at 2-1. I think 2-1 is a big price. I think they'll be bet. I think this will go off a little bit closer because Bournemouth is so negative. The other thing you've got to remember as well, and I'm going to mention it quite a lot, we are going to have a really wet Saturday here. Like a really wet Saturday over in England. It's going to be really wet, windy, blowy. That isn't the kind of conditions for Bournemouth fans. Bournemouth likes to play good, decent football. They're a bit powder puff in terms of they're not a strong physical side. They're playing to Wolves fans. Wolves are a much more physical team who put it about a lot more than Bournemouth. So teams that aren't ready to mix it up, I think are going to struggle this weekend. So I like Wolves here. Instead, I'm going to play a little bit safe though. I wouldn't put anybody off taking them on the money line at 2-1, but I'm going to play them on the draw no bet market, which is available on Bet Rivers on the Asian handicap with a 0. So it's a push if the match is a draw, but I'm going to take Wolves here at -110.
Do you know what? They've drifted a little bit. I mean, I looked before. You can get +112. Which seems really good value, because I was going to suggest to you, Nigel, and we're going to move on to Chelsea Arsenal in just a second, that I'm surprised you didn't go unders in this one at +107, because as you mentioned, the weather's a factor, and you tend to think whenever it is bad, I mean, this is mainly a rugby thing rather than a soccer thing, but I'd always like to go unders on a game like this if it's belting.
The problem is that Bournemouth are conceding so many goals.
Yeah,
that worries me. I think that they try to test, if you're going to bet the unders, then the tried and tested formula of Wolves drawing at half-time and the 0-0 at half-time is probably the play to have here, because if it's going to go unders, it's going to go spectacular unders. It's going to be 0-0 or 1-0 for the last kick of the game. It's not going to be a 1-1 draw with 22 shots at each end. But I think you might want to go for the big one if you're going to go unders. Play the 0-0 or play 0-0 at half-time or draw at half-time. But I just think that Wolves here, on the form that we've seen coming in, I mean, they've got some players playing really well. Bournemouth just look a club in total mess at the moment.
Yeah, I like 2-1 the away win there.
Oh, that's
anyway,
that's a kiss of death on that then. That is the kiss of death on
that. Oh dear. Chelsea Arsenal. Let's get some reasoning from Jack on this one. Chelsea are +235. Arsenal have just drifted a little bit, +132. I was going to say, Jack, off the starting this preview, Chelsea fans think that they've turned the corner, 3 straight wins, but Arsenal's win against City obviously was massive. I was going to say the money line feels about right. It still does, but if Arsenal drift a little bit more here and get towards the sort of 6-4 +150 mark, I mean, that might be a bet. Just briefly on the money line, does it look right to you?
Yeah, I'd say about right. I make Arsenal just favourites here. I'm still not convinced by Chelsea. I think this is a litmus test for them. I think if they can get a positive result in this one, then we go, oh, hang on, Pochettino's getting a tune out of them now. Some players coming back as well. But I think Arsenal match up Chelsea really well in this game. Sterling had a great game against Burnley, but I think Ben White, Saka, if he's fit, will double up on him and snuff him out of it. And I think as long as Saliba releases Haaland from his right back pocket, then I think he'll stick one of the Chelsea forwards in there, no problem at all. So, yeah, I think interesting game. I'd make Arsenal the marginal favourites from it. It's not one I'd really want to be playing on the money line, obviously, as I haven't. But I think jury's still out on Chelsea. They've not beaten anyone significant for me yet.
Yeah, I think that's fair. They're going to be inconsistent with a lot of young players. Let's get the play then here, because you've both gone for the same play. But Jack, stage is yours here to talk us through the bet. And I mean, this could be one of the best bets of the weekend. It could be one that goes horribly wrong. I mentioned this to Nigel off air earlier. Talk us through your play.
Under 2.5 goals, it is, yeah. And this is based really on 2 very strong defences in a big game, a London derby, which we normally say. We mentioned the Merseyside derby. This is a London derby, not the biggest for either of the clubs, but still a big game. especially when you look at the context of the two sides. Arsenal undefeated and looking to go one better than last season, and Chelsea, as we said, looking to continue that upward momentum. But everything's been built really around defensive processes for both the two sides. I say, as far as Chelsea are concerned, I think they've had a fairly kind fixture list and they've not done too much with it other than those last couple of games. And say Burnley have been atrocious this season. They beat them, and Fulham, which I watched that game, and they were awful. But I just feel that Arsenal got a brilliant away record, the best away record in the league since the start of last season. So they're going to go there with confidence, especially on the back of that Manchester City win. They haven't conceded a goal away from home yet in the league this season. You look at their since the start of last season, 22 away games played in the league, and they've won 15 of them, but they've kept 13 clean sheets in that period of time. So they're only conceding 0.82 goals per away game. And we know where Chelsea's problems are. Chelsea's problems are in attack. They're not scoring enough goals, or they certainly haven't been, especially against the bigger sides. They've not scored in 13 Premier League games since the start of the year, which is probably the highest of any side in the Premier League. But despite their problems over the last few months, this season the defence has been a fairly decent process. They have only conceded they've only conceded more goals than Arsenal and Manchester City. So when you look at these two sides together, it just shows that this should be a real tight affair, and with both defences on top. I can probably see Arsenal just having the better attack here and maybe edging it, but a low-scoring game for me.
Low-scoring game for Jack. Nigel, you are similar of your thinking. Well, same as your thinking.
Yeah, exactly the same. I mean, Chelsea struggled to score goals, particularly at home. They've suffered some shock defeats as well at home. Arsenal excellent on the road, as Jack said, not conceded. 4 of the 5 Chelsea games at home this season, the Premier League have gone under 2.5 goals. The only one that didn't was against Luton, as you would expect. Arsenal on the road, 1-0 wins in 3 of their 4 matches. The only one that didn't go on, cashed over was against Bournemouth. I mean, 2 of the last 3 years, this match has been a 1-0 win for Arsenal. And I think it'll be the 1-0 to the Arsenal again here as the kind of result I expect to happen. I think it's a tough test for Arsenal because Chelsea, after a poor start, have shown a little bit of signs of improvement under Pochettino. I think they're getting more of a settled side now. He knows the players he wants. He knows the system he wants to play. Arsenal, I think Saka makes a huge difference to the line. If Saka plays, then I expect Arsenal to obviously be moving in that market. So it's a big team loser if you're going to bet on the money line. But this match is being played on Saturday evening, which is going to be the worst of the weather in London. The weather in London is terrible. Sunday's going to be nice. So on Sunday, it's nice. It's going to be sunny and dry. But I think there's going to be a lot of wind and a lot of rain around. And I think that will really have an effect on this match here. So, yes, I agree with him. And I do harp on about the weather quite a lot. But I think the weather is a very, very undervalued key in a lot of betting, especially in goal markets and rugby, as we said, their total points and American football. You look at the weather forecast in American football, and I think with the wind as well added in, I think it's going to be a real tough, and especially more so in the English lower leagues. I think with the open stadiums and more wind getting in, I think they're going to see a lot of games now going back to reverting to the unders rather than the overs this weekend. But this is the only unders for me. Chelsea Arsenal. I think it's a derby. I think it's a huge game. Both teams will come in with a little bit of confidence on the back of 3 successive wins in the Premier League. And I think this will be very close.
Any argument, Jack, for both teams to score no here, plus 110, bit bigger in terms of the price than minus 108?
Yeah, if you want to be more aggressive, I'd suggest that's a decent play. Like I said, Arsenal yet to concede away from home, and Chelsea's attack problems have been well documented. Saliba and Gabriel together at the back. We mentioned it a few weeks ago that was going to be a bit of a turning point, that they kept hold of Gabriel after that transfer talk. And I think having those two together really solidifies that side, and they look really, really strong. Both fullbacks, I think Zinchenko, if he's on the left-hand side, against probably Cole Palmer, played with him at Manchester City. So I think we'll know his game and have his number marked. White on the other side against Sterling. And it's going to be an interesting battle in midfield. But I think with Rice, possibly Partey coming back to firm up, and Odegaard, I think Arsenal just edge it. But yeah, I agree. I think if you want to go a little bit more aggressive, then that no is a definite play at plus money.
Yeah, interesting point on Partey. Played in both of Ghana's internationals, didn't play the full game. I think that was pre-planned, and it wouldn't surprise me if Arsenal went a little bit safety first with Partey and Rice. But we'll see. 2 more picks from Jack to come. We've got Villa West Ham next. This is Sunday, 11:30. Eastern, two teams, of course, in action in Europe the following midweek. Jack here, but Villa, although in the Europa League or Conference League group stages haven't quite got it right. They were very lucky against the Bosnian side last time out, but their preparation, they seem to have it right because they've been good ahead of European games. How do you see this one?
They have. They've been phenomenal. So anyone here that's a fan of historical head-to-heads and data like that, well, will not like this pick at all because I'm going with Aston Villa to win this. They've not won any of the last 10 meetings between the two sides, but I'm going to take them to put it right this time round.
That's a good start. I didn't know that. They've not beaten West Ham for the last 10.
No, they haven't. No, I think it's one win in 14. So
Claret and Blue Derby.
Yeah, they're not good at all. But I can't overlook the work that Unai Emery's done at Villa. He's been absolutely sensational. I dug into a little bit of the data since he arrived at the club. We're getting close to a full season's worth of games of him in charge now. He's had 33 games there. So obviously our full Premier League season 38. So it's a good yardstick to see how he's comparing. He's won 20 of those 33 games, only lost 8. They've picked up the 4th highest amount of points, 65 points in that run. And that's only behind Man City, Arsenal and Liverpool. So on the best part of a full season's worth of data, he'd be up there in the Champions League places. And considering they were in or around the relegation zone when he took over, it's been stunning work. And at Villa Park, he's made it a complete fortress. Done superb work there. It's one of those grounds that we like. We've talked about the old school grounds before that are packed full of 40-odd, 50,000 fans in there, but kind of one of those old school stadiums that gets a cracking atmosphere going, and they're loving it. Under Emery, since he's been there, they won 12 of his 16 league games in charge, and only Man United, Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal have got better home records, and I think that's quite key when we come to look at the price in a moment on this one, to how it compares. Villa have only picked up 1 point less than Arsenal since Emery's been in charge at home, but have played 2 games less. So it shows you, say, the company that they are keeping. Scoring plenty of goals, average 2.38 goals per home game as well, which is the 4th best. So the stats keep supporting the fact that this isn't a flash in the pan. They've won 10 successive home league games. This isn't just a thing that's happened this season. It's been built up since he's been at the club. So phenomenal record. They're 5th in the table currently. So they've got eyes on those Champions League places. And yes, they've got distractions coming. We'll have to see how it pans out. But as it stands currently, they're only 2 points off 3rd. But they've only played 3 home games as well. So started the season that horrendously away, didn't they? Got beat 5-1 by Newcastle and also lost to Liverpool. But around that have been sensational and scoring plenty of goals. Those 3 home games, they've scored 13 goals and only conceded 2. So the processes are right at both ends of the pitch. It's not just a case of outscoring them. As I said, they've won their last 10 successive. 27 goals scored, 4 goals conceded. So that's the what they're doing. So they're getting it right at both ends of the pitch. They've kept 6 clean sheets in those games as well. So it's been fantastic. And the thing that in this matchup, I thought West Ham have been doing quite well. You look at them in the table, doing pretty well. Away form, not bad either. But they're very surprisingly been involved in lots of goals. 27 goals so far this season in West Ham games. That's an average of 3.38. And that kind of concerned me. Only 1 clean sheet so far. Oh, so it didn't concern me because I'm back in Villa. So it actually kind of pleased me to see that. And you look at their away form, they started with a draw at Bournemouth. We've talked about Bournemouth a couple of times already. It sounded like quite a solid point initially. Doesn't look quite so sexy now, picking up a point there. The standout result, obviously, was the one against Brighton. But I just think that was a perfect clash of styles that they exploited Brighton. And the one that catches my eye for this bet is the fact they went to Liverpool and got beat 3-1. What they're doing is just giving up lots and lots of chances at West Ham. Their expected goals against is only the bottom 4 have thrown up more chances than them. And if this gets into a shootout, I just think Villa have got it covered. They've got Watkins, who's already got 2 hat-tricks already this season and scored on international duty, so his confidence is sky high. And I just think that this side, with the likes of Diaby, Bailey, Zaniolo, Cash and Dino, as far as the wing-backs are concerned, are perfectly suited to this style. I think they'll go there and put on a great show at Villa Park. The final point is that just check the odds for this season. Brighton went off at -200 against West Ham. Liverpool went off at -256, and we've seen where Villa compare as far as their home stats are concerned with those 2 clubs. And we're getting on board here at -108, which I think is the definite shade of value. They went off at +113 last season in the same fixture with Steven Gerrard in charge when they were at the bottom of the league. So this one for me looks like a nice price based on historical stats over the course of Emery's reign.
Love it. Really nice stats there, Villa. You've persuaded me at -108 to beat West Ham. Just briefly, Nigel, on West Ham with this halftime record that they've got, they're top of the table if games just lasted 45 minutes. 5 wins from 8 games, 3 draws. They're +280 to be leading at halftime. I'm not suggesting that people play, but just in general, is there a bet that you look at that the halftime, and a lot of bookmakers now have the halftime prices? You mentioned it briefly with Wolves. Is it a market that you look at? Can you get a bit of value in it? Is this West Ham thing just a bit of an anomaly, do you think, at the minute?
I would think it's an anomaly at the moment. I mean, the Wolves one is consistent over 3 or 4 seasons. You know, the draw comes in very regularly, and when it's like +130, and it's also comes in higher when they play lesser opposition. So I want a little bit more data than that. I mean, their fixtures this season, they haven't really run into many tough ones yet, have they? I mean, they played Man City and Liverpool, and they've lost both of them quite heavily. So I'm sure they were losing those at the time. So they were probably winning against teams they would expect it to be winning against. So for me, I would want a little bit more data than that. So it wouldn't rule anyone off it. But if Jack fancies Villa, we're all with Villa, aren't we?
Yes, absolutely. No, we're weighing with Villa. One more game to look at, Jack. It's the London Derby. This is Monday night football for us in the UK, 3 p.m. Eastern. Spurs against Fulham, -200. Spurs, Fulham +510, draw +370. London Derby, of course, Jack, I mean, in my mind, -200 doesn't seem the worst bet. I know we don't put up things very, very short, but for those that like to go short, I mean, Fulham aren't going to give Spurs a game, or are they? Just briefly, both of you on the money line. Jack, on the money line?
Yeah, too short to be certainly tipping. I fancy Spurs to win. So if that's your cup of tea, yeah, get involved. But I think using the Asian handicaps and getting a little bit of edge on it is the way forward.
Okay, we'll get your Asian pick in a sec. Nigel, would you back him at -2? If you just wanted a nice bet on a short price.
I think this is Tottenham, isn't it? Tottenham. we saw Tottenham last season lose at home to Burnley, didn't they? A couple of times when they were on a big run, and I think they got beat by Southampton last season as well when they were.
That's a no then.
No, I just think that you've got your fingers burnt so many times on Tottenham. I know the manager's come in and he's won the manager of the month for the back-to-back months, but I wouldn't bet him. No, I want a bit more than that.
All right, much more
parlay material.
Sorry?
Yeah,
parlay
possibly.
Material.
Yeah. If you were looking at a parlay, you'd throw them in.
I think if they're going to win it, Tottenham are going to win it hands down. So I think you want to bet the Asian handicap rather than take them with the minus.
Speaking of which, Jack, you've got the Asian handicap play.
Yeah, I got
good segue. Well done,
here.
Nigel. You're learning.
read the script. Nice work.
First time I've ever done that.
Asian handicap. So what we've got here is obviously Tottenham to win, -1 on the Asian handicap. So we need them to win by 2 or more goals. If they do win by a single goal, then we do get a full refund on our money as we expect them to win. But we're looking for them to put a little bit of daylight between them and Fulham. Seen Fulham recently. They were awful against Chelsea. I saw the highlights of that Sheffield United win. Freaky game. Deflections and cannons off crossbars off the back of people's necks and hamstring pulls when in possession. It was just mental. So not much can be read into that. And it is Sheffield United who are all over the place at the moment. But yeah, for me, Spurs, 6 wins in 8, only one of 2 unbeaten sides in the league, of course. Postecoglou is the poster campaign for all that's great in the Premier League at the moment. He's come in and absolutely grabbed it by storm. I saw him wheeled out in front of the Australians ahead of their game against Wembley. So as a motivational speech and all that kind of stuff. So he is certainly flavour of the month at the moment. And fair play, he's absolutely turned Spurs around from that side that we saw that was cautious, back foot and reactive. They're now a front foot side. They love to press. We have a stat which is kind of a newish stat. I'm not sure how long it's been around, but it's one that I've kind of caught on to this sort of season, which is field tilt, which basically with so many sides playing possession.
Leave it out, field tilt. Leave it out.
It basically means we've seen these sides.
Where's that red card? Is that red card?
No, got a red card.
Sides that play possession and knock it around at the back. It doesn't really matter, does it? But what Spurs are doing.
I love it. I love the new metrics. Come on, field tilt.
I'm just
Not even a yellow, straight red.
straight red for field tilts.
Two for you've come in. You've come in 2-footed with a field tilt there. Come on.
Field tilts.
I'd mentioned it in passing, it'd slide by, but definitely not. Pawson's got his card out up the top left there, and I'm done for. But it basically what it highlights is that they're actually having possession in the final third rather than just knocking it around pointlessly at the back like some sides do to stats and pad some stats. But I say Postecoglou's done sensational work there. The new signings have come in and have hit the ground running. We're talking about Maddison a lot, but I think also that you look at the goalkeepers come in and has helped them with our style of play. I think they'd have struggled with Lloris. Well, definitely would have struggled with Lloris still in between the sticks for the way they want to play, and also his shot stopping has gone downhill as well. So those sort of things that have done well. He's also got the best out of the players that he's inherited and put them into a system that's worked superbly well. So they're not making errors. They're playing out from the back. They're playing exactly the way he wants them to play, and they're finding ways to win. They've found themselves in sticky situations and they've come out on top of it. Yes, they've had a little bit of the rubber green, but we all need that. And I think they're playing a Fulham side here that are pretty poor, to say the least. Again, I watched them against Chelsea and they're awful. Fulham's record in London derbies is terrible. They've not won any of the last 10. They've lost 6 of those and they've failed to score in 7 of them. So on that basis, if that run continues here, and so they're missing Mitrovic terribly. So I wouldn't be surprised. In fact, I can't see him scoring in this one. So it does bring other bets into play if you look on like a win to nil scenario as well. But the Asian handicap is the safer option for me. I say going against this Fulham side, I think with a vibrant Spurs, who obviously are top of the table, they probably won't be come kickoff. But if they are, then obviously they've got a massive opportunity to extend that lead at the top. So regardless, though, a huge atmosphere expected on Monday night in London. It'll be terrible. I'm not sure what the tube and transport links will be like, but stay away probably, Nigel, rather than go into that one. But,
that's another terrible stadium you get out of. Tottenham. Don't get me started on that.
Oh, you can get out of it. You just got to walk out. You just got to walk for about 8 hours before you get to the Tuesday.
Awful place.
Yeah. The final point on it is Spurs' record against Fulham is exceptional. So, they've won 7 of the last 8 meetings between the two sides. And so they're in their best shape at this moment in time. And against the Fulham side, let's say, they've been poor throughout the course of the season. They're relying on Willian who's kind of coming to the end of his career more than anything else. So everything points towards Tottenham, the momentum shift there. And so I'm taking them to win and win pretty well.
That is Tottenham giving a goal start on the Asian handicap. So a 1-0 win for Spurs. That would be a push, but a big win you will collect at -129. That's the final play. Let's get some best bets before we sign off. Nigel, what's the best play over the course of week 9 of the EPL?
Well, I've been in shocking form. I was in shocking form last time before the international break. So hopefully the international break does me good so we can recover some of our bad run that I've been on. But I think the Gary O'Neill factor for me, Bournemouth draw no bet. I mean, you said there it's gone up to +112. That was -108, yeah. I think it was. Yeah. The fact that the money has come for Wolves. Sorry, I said Bournemouth. Wolves draw no bet here against Bournemouth. Wolves are in great form. I just think Wolves going back, manager unfairly sacked by Bournemouth. I think he's going to get revenge, and I like that on the draw no bet. And I think that win will spark the end for Aurelio at Bournemouth.
Jack, what's your best play?
I will go with Spurs. Yeah, -1 Asian handicap. I think they have too much for Fulham. Although the Villa one, draws it close. I like both of them a lot. But yeah, Spurs just edge it for me.
Good stuff, Nigel, Jack. Thanks for your company. Good luck with your picks. That is a wrap for week 9 of Betting Weekly Premier League show. Stay across all of the picks and content via @BecauseWeWin from all of us. For this week, though, it is goodbye.